Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Gonzalez, and today my youth culture analysis is going to be pointing towards soccer commentary or also the soccer community within the youth, as seen on soccer TikTok videos. As you can see right here, we're going to be displaying how the youth reacts towards certain matches and also what kind of videos are being published on TikTok and how these connect with the development of the youth through three different ways. So first of all, what is just to touch on what this cultural phenomenon is within the youth? It's an engaging extension of experiencing the sport's history, specifically soccer, because for many years this was the only way that you could experience the sport. This and also through television, but there was no other way for the youth to be able to connect or share their thoughts rather than doing it in person. And it's a very immersive environment, but yet TikTok has been able to imitate that, and it's allowed soccer fans of all ages, including the youth and teenagers, to share their love and interest over their favorite clubs, players, and etc. through a widely used digital platform. TikTok is one of the biggest apps that's used within the youth nowadays, and sometimes the youth don't even have time to attend these matches. So what's another way for them to do it? They could be reacting towards certain scores at home or in class. Not that it's the best place to do it, but TikTok has permitted through these videos for the youth to be able to experience the sport through different ways and be able to share their love and their passion and their thoughts to a digital audience. As seen here, these are two screenshots of where the youth prevails usually doing this. And for the youth having this the TikTok to be able an accessible digital platform, it's made it easier for them to be able to share their passion and love for the sport. And it's also, and since the sport is such an integral part of their lives, so has the app and so has the way to express themselves, which touches on how their skills and their youth is developing. And today we're going to see three ways in how this youth culture phenomenon touches and nurtures different developmental processes, such as the physical, the cognitive, and the social emotional. Let's touch on upon the physical aspect of this youth culture phenomenon. Here, many users decide to recreate the plays and physically play the sport on the field as a way to represent or comment to certain players or teams. For example, here, as seen in the screenshot, this teenager is imitating Neymar and his way of play through a TikTok video. And there's a lot of videos like this, as I have termed it, where they are role playing as a certain player to comment on their way of play, whether in the field or outside the field, because in soccer commentary, they could be reacting to anything the player or the club does. And since the sport is physical, they are physically commenting or expressing themselves over what's going on and what they've seen in the sport. And as mentioned here on the right, there are times to beg whether these kinds of videos and whether these kinds of videos are that touch upon the physical, the cognitive, and the social emotional aspect of the youth's lives, if it's connecting to side effects of screen time, since most of the time after they post a video and they could experience the reactions and the thoughts that other people have, they could be spending hours, half an hour or so, whatever time they need to see what others think and what are others' opinions over the sport and so on and so forth. So then this begs the question whether the screen time that they spend watching these videos physically could be affecting what is mentioned here in Farley and Twenge's article, as how screen time has increased mood disorders ever since 2012 and other mental issues that have become, as it mentions here, as urgent as rates of depression, self-harm, and suicide attempts that have risen in the U.S. and within UK United Kingdom adults. It's a good question, and it's something that in here, since it's a physical act, this kind of comment and this kind of TikTok video for the youth physically expressing themselves could go either way, but usually this would lessen the result of a mood disorder or of such. Let's transition into the cognitive aspect of this culture phenomenon. Now we're looking into the cognitive aspect of their development of the youth. And what the main thing here is that through soccer commentary on TikTok, the youth are developing a social critic of themselves. How they can let aside their own subjective thoughts over the game or of players and be able to accept the game as it was. Sometimes, as I mentioned here, that's not the case, since anybody on TikTok can post a video and the youth can do so as well. Most of the time they let reason aside and they develop more of an opinionated side of themselves to comment on the match or on the players. And this, in a way, can be beneficial to them, so they can show to themselves that they're being true to themselves. Also, through TikTok, they can develop a way to express themselves digitally and with other people about the sport that they're all experiencing at the same time. As I mentioned before, this is a way to experience a sport outside of the stadium where the match is being played. So sports history is being developed here within the youth's expressions and their videos and what they're talking about. And here are some links to some video references. Both of these, for example, right here, this user is commenting on a match where his team lost, and he decides to blame the defender and the center back for what happened, which in a way, as it shows here in the result, it did change the whole match and the result. So in a way, this young man is developing a cognitive or a social critic of himself within the game's conversation. And in this one, they are commenting on the reception that the player received after the match was done. So, for example, this wasn't a match where Barcelona, the Spanish soccer team, won, and they were commenting on how well the defender performed during that match. And since that defender is a teenager and in high school, they showed a video of the possible positive reception he could receive once he comes back from high school and everybody is outside applauding him for his previous performance. So it's a way for the youth to be developing their mental health and their mental skills as they are doing so on TikTok. Now, let's talk about the social-emotional aspect of this youth culture phenomenon. So, as we mentioned before, this sport has a lot of opinions. It contains a lot of passion, and it's what fuels the vivid experience of living the sport. And with their social emotional health and what they're going through, the youth could be fitting into their passion and opinions over the sport with many online. As we mentioned, TikTok is accessible to them, so they could share their opinion with how many people they want. But the problem, or more of the concern, is how they have an urge to risk it all or place, you could say, safe bets to predict or watch while watching or predicting what's going to happen in the outcome of the match. So, for example, this young man right here, and I reference his video right here, he was going for Barcelona, and he was hoping that his rival team, Real Madrid, would lose to a certain team at a very crucial stage of the of the soccer European event called the Champions League. He placed a bet that if his rival team would lose, he wouldn't have to cut his hair, but if his team would win, then he would have to cut his hair. Which right here we could tell he has a lot of hair, so he doesn't want to lose that. And that's part of the emotions fitting into the sport and the outcome of the matches, and it's a way for the for the young teenager on TikTok to show how they care about the sport and they're willing to risk certain parts of themselves to experience it to the highest level, and this is a video to prove it. And another way to do it is how they feel free to share how and comment on how certain people dress or their appearance, how that affects their perception or their opinions over how good they are or how they're gonna impact their experience in the sport. So, for example, right here in this video, this person's face changes depending on the person's type of haircut, and if and their stress level over how good this player is or not gonna be is depends on their haircut. So they're very superficial things that affect the viewer, and it's something that they should be looking towards and seeing what kind of video they're trying to make and how the video accurately represents their emotions. So, in summary, this youth culture has good things and also negative things going for it. In general, what is really good about this youth culture and soccer commentary and TikTok is the passion and energy that each of the teenagers and the youth in general bring to the sport. It's it's contagiously very fulfilling to see on a daily basis as someone that experiences the sport as well through TikTok, even though I'm not a teenager anymore. But now talk and it could affect them in really good ways. It could help them develop social skills. So from watching the sport and passionately or vividly experiencing it live, they could nurture social skills that can help them experience it right there and then, and also how they could talk about their experience with somebody else, so they're not as confused about how they're supposed to approach the soccer conversation after the match is finished, or from how they post a video and how they present themselves online to how they present themselves outside outside in the real world with other people. But the passion and the energy that is brought in this sport and that is nurtured within TikTok and this youth culture is very commending and very positive to see. As mentioned here, not many young people can experience these things or the things that they love, such as soccer or how they feel about certain players with other people. So it's going to be very important, very crucial to their development to nurture their digital literacy and skills that are transferable within how they express themselves online to how they express themselves in person, and it'll benefit different aspects of their development, such as the mental, social, and physical health. Thank you so much for viewing my video, and here are my references. Thank you so much. Have a very good day.